SLT speed up සවාරිය සමගින් සද්දන්ත වාසි රැල්ලක්. අලුත් broadband සබඳතා සඳහා පළමු මාස දෙක පුරා data double speed up with SLT.
Making headlines on First at 9. Ahead of the storm, parliamentary session abruptly halted after members of the joint opposition stormed the chamber. Government insists that it never attempted to stop the protest. People's Power. Minister of Finance and Media highlights People's franchise as the only means to topple the government. What's best? MP Udagaman Pillai reveals what's best for the future generations.
Toppling this government is the best insurance you can obtain for your loved little ones.
Despite calls to heed, Russia ignores warnings by the US president and bombs Syria province of Idlib. Role of ex-players. Former cricket captain Kumar Sangakkara believes at times silence is golden. A very good evening to all our viewers. You're joined with First at 9 on Derana 24/7 Sri Lanka's news channel. I'm Katrina Chang. Now moving on to our top story tonight. The joint opposition is confident over the mass protest in power of the public to Colombo planned for tomorrow, saying that all necessary preparations are in place. Meanwhile, 3 magistrate courts today rejected requests by police which sought injunction orders prohibiting protests in Colombo. Colombo Additional Magistrate Kanchana De Silva rejected the request by the Valikada police, which attempted to obtain an injunction order prohibiting protests within the Valikada police zone. Meanwhile, Chief Magistrate of Colombo Ranga Disanayake moved to reject a request by the Cinnamon Gardens police seeking an injunction order prohibiting protests near the official residence of President Maithripala Sirisena. The Chief Magistrate highlighted that it would only be an act against the state if the protesters attempt to surround the President's residence. Chief Magistrate Disanayake inquired from police as to why such culprits would not be arrested and called the request by the police suspicious. He also added that the request made by the police is baseless. Meanwhile, the Kolpiti police had also made a similar request from the Colombo Fort Magistrate. However, Fort Magistrate Lanka Jaratna rejected the request, claiming that police already possess legal power to control situations of unrest. In Parliament today, MPs representing the opposition inquired from the Minister of Law and Order on the attempts made by police to obtain these injunction orders.
Claiming that it is for the protection of the Parliament, Valikada police officers have tried to obtain a court order against the mass protest in Colombo tomorrow. We know the government is scared now, but did you make a complaint with the police saying that you can't maintain processes of the Parliament?
වැලිකඩ පොලිසිය අධිකරණය ගිහිල්ලා නියෝගය හකිල්ලනවා. මම කිසිම පෙරලක් දුන්නෙත් නැහැ. මොනවා බොරු කරන්නේ එහෙම අසාධාරණ මම නෙමෙයි වැලිකඩ පොලිසියයි බොරු කියලා ඔබ කිව්වේ පොලිසියට අපෙන් අහන්න වැඩක් නැහැ.
The police don't have to ask us. They can act upon the powers given to them under the parliamentary privileges. I would like to say one thing. Some of the opposition parliamentarians told me that it is because of the freedom under the unity government that they are able to protest like this. And they have also threatened private media organizations, saying that if they don't broadcast this protest properly, the protesters would surround those organizations. They had also asked Derana to not only show Gotabe but also the rest of the members.
කතානායකතුමනි දෙරණට කිව්වලු ගෝඨාභය විතරක් පෙන්නන්න එපා අපිත් පෙන්නන්න ඕන කියලා.
Speaker Karu Jayasuriya postponed the parliamentary session without a debate until 1 p.m. tomorrow.
සභාව කල් තැබීම පාර්ලිමේන්තුව හෙට සවස 1 දක්වා සභා කල්ද පාර්ලිමේන්තුව හෙට සවස 1 adjournment debate.
However, members representing the joint opposition gathered in the middle of the House to protest against Speaker's decision to adjourn the session. Meanwhile, other Derana witnessed additional police officers from other parties of the country being called for duty ahead of the protest tomorrow. They gathered at the Cinnamon Gardens police station today. Senior Attorney at Law Dr. Pratibha Mahanamaheva stresses that it is a violation of the Constitution to prohibit peaceful demonstrations.
It has clearly been told during Supreme Court hearings that conducting peaceful rallies, peaceful protests, peaceful gatherings are all legal. As the Prime Minister always says, if there is freedom of speech, then why do they try to limit peaceful protests? They're trying to violate the Constitution. No magistrate in the world would ever violate basic human rights because that is a right any person has from birth to death. That is a human right which the United Nations Human Rights Council itself accepts. They will stop all of these things if Geneva officials ask them to. So we must respect international conventions.
Parliamentarian of the UPFA Uday Gamanpila insists that dethrowing the government would serve as the best insurance the younger generations of the country could be given. Addressing a media briefing held in Colombo today, the parliamentarian called on all to join hands with them tomorrow in participating in the protest of Janabalaya Kolumbata.
You must be unhappy with this government. You must be angry with this government. You may have expressed your disappointment at your home, workplace, market, inside the public transport, or at social gatherings. Unfortunately, the government leaders haven't heard you yet. The government leaders are of the strong view that the people are fully satisfied with their governance and they have developed our nation in an unprecedented manner. If you heard the Prime Minister or the President, they repeatedly say their development efforts are unprecedented and people are fully happy with them. Unfortunately, according to them, media misreport and distort the situation. If you really want the government to hear what you really believe, the best way to communicate your feelings about the government is to join hands with us at the protest Janabalaya Kolumbata on 5th September. Dear friends, toppling this government is the best insurance you can obtain for your loved little ones. Therefore, please join hands with us tomorrow to topple this government and make a better future for our loved ones.
Now, tomorrow's protest by the joint opposition has given rise to suspicions ranging from possible assassinations to influence of the underworld. Let us take a look at what politicians had to say about the looming protest.
All preparations are made to host the country's biggest protest tomorrow. We're engaging in this demonstration for various reasons. We wish to tell the public that we are doing this for them, so therefore we need their support. Some asked the Prime Minister if steps should be taken to carpet the road, but he said there is no need for it and let us move ahead in a democratic manner. They are in fear. Officials from the Road Passenger Transport Authority are protesting, demanding that buses not be utilised for this. No matter what they do, nothing can be done to stop a Mahinda Rajapaksa-led government coming to power. We have received information that there are certain individuals in the joint opposition who are planning to commit murder during the protest and drive their election propaganda through this. Therefore, I request those engaged in the protest to be safe. We wish to tell Ajit Mannaperuma that he is threatening us by saying that there will be shootings. We believe that the public are engaging in this protest and are ready to sacrifice their lives. We are prepared to take legal action against persons who try to ruin democracy and break the law in any manner. We know that the underworld who work for the government is kept on standby. There are also certain factions who are ready to create trouble. Therefore, we wish to tell the government that if any disruptions happen during the protest, then they should bear the responsibility. We have arranged buses in almost all local authorities. There are 300 buses being deployed from Galle alone. If they are expecting to utilise 10 to 15,000 people to topple the government, this should have happened a long time ago. We do not believe there will be great orations. Last time, Mahinda Rajapaksa did not exchange many words. But those who do not even have the support of 100 people are the ones who will create a huge spectacle.
Meanwhile, police say that if the joint opposition rally causes any inconvenience to the public, action will be taken under the police ordinance. These views expressed at a media briefing held in Colombo today. We have not taken measures to hold the protest or made any submissions before court to stop demonstrations. This government has given the freedom to hold demonstrations and rallies.
We saw certain media institutions reporting that police have made requests demanding the demonstrations be stopped and they're being rejected. The police will be kept in place to protect government institutions and public areas from harm. We expect demonstrations to be held peacefully and that they do not disrupt the day-to-day activities of state institutions. The police did not take any measures to halt protests tomorrow. However, the police did receive information about certain parties who are planning to damage several properties. Therefore, the police sought court orders to secure the protection of key locations in several areas, such as the parliament, following which the court had pointed out that the police has the right to use force if necessary in accordance with provisions of the penal code. If it is not a peaceful protest, breaching human rights, create traffic congestion, damage property, disrupt schools or ambulance services, then we will take action in accordance with law.
United National Party claims that there is an underlying agenda at play in the mass protest organised by the joint opposition tomorrow. Addressing a media briefing today, Minister Harin Fernandes said that despite various slogans adopted for the protest, the true motive of it is to divert people's attention from Gotabaya Rajapaksa to Nama Rajapaksa in a bid to bring him to power.
As far as we know, what the organisers are attempting to do is to engage in a huge protest until the government is toppled, similar to that of Ukraine. That's why they're doing this without seeking permission from the police or obtaining permits for loudspeakers. That's the very reason they don't inform the routes of the protest while claiming they will topple the government. We'd like to wish them well and challenge them to topple the government. They may grab the power of the presidential secretariat, defeating the police if they can. There will be a crowd. People gather when Mahinda Rajapaksa blows a whistle. Nama Rajapaksa is disrupting day-to-day lives of the public, the economy of the country and affecting the education of the school children. He should take the responsibility for all of it. Although they have adopted several slogans for the protest, the main intention of it is to turn the attention from Gotabaya to Namal. What happens on the 5th is an attempt to sacrifice the lives of people to bring Namal to power. They will be called before the special high courts in December and they are now attempting to give the impression that it will be over this protest.
Minister of Finance and Mass Media Mangala Samaravira is defiant over the protest organised by the joint opposition set to be staged tomorrow. Addressing a media briefing held at the Minister of Finance this afternoon, the minister said the only force that can topple the government is the people's franchise.
I stand for the right of Mahinda Rajapaksa or Nama Rajapaksa to engage in protests, and there is no doubt. The issue here is them not complying with the standards of engaging in a protest. Nobody knows from where they are coming or the direction they're heading. As I got to know, not even those who are participating know where they will go. This is an attempt to sacrifice the lives of those who follow Mahinda Rajapaksa in a bid to save Nama Rajapaksa from trials. If Namal is trying to do that, he will be disappointed. We protect the right of the people to engage in protests and we will not even touch a person. Who is Nama Rajapaksa? Only a suspect on bail.
Nama Rajapaksa කියන්නේ කවුද? අප්පපිට ඉන්න සැකකාරයෙක්.
එතකොට එතකොට මේ ක්‍රීඩාංගන පහක් කලින් වෙන් කරලා තිබිලා ඒක කැන්සල් කරලා තියෙනවා ආණ්ඩුව විසින්.
නෑ මම
No, I called the Colombo Municipal Council before coming to the meeting. They confirmed there is no such thing. Keep this in mind. This protest is held to influence the courts.
අධිකරණයට බලපෑම් කරන්න.
පොලිස් කොට්ටාස තුනකින් තහනම් නියෝග ඉල්ලලා තියෙනවා.
Injunction orders are requested, but there is a reason why they can't be given, because the protest is still a rumour. Neither the police nor the courts know from where the protesters will come from. This is not an uprising of the people, but merely an attempt to ensure an innocent person is killed at our hands by using the power of Namal's father. But we will not let it happen.
හැබැයි අපි ඒකට දිති යන්නේ.
යන්න නෙවෙයි නම් එන්නේ. මේ නගරේ හැමතැනට වෙලා ඔය වාහන දාන පාරට වෙලා බුදිය ගත්තොත් ඔබතුමාලා ආණ්ඩුව දාලා යන කැමතිද?
We will leave the government if people ask us to leave using their franchise. The other thing is, we know how to send them home if they don't. We will attack if they do.
Society of Socialist Art laments the lack of action from the government over its promises to reduce taxes recently imposed on artists. The matter was highlighted by several artists at a media briefing organised by the JVP at the party headquarters in Colombo today.
The recently amended Inland Revenue Act has introduced a new tax system for the artists and producers. Minister of Finance made statements in Parliament recently saying that tax on artists will be withdrawn. It led people to think that it happened. So far, the matter is not attended to by anyone. The reality is ministers can't achieve it by just making a statement in Parliament. The Act should be amended. The government has not presented an amendment to the Act. It should be approved by the Cabinet before being passed in Parliament. Observations of the Attorney General also have to be obtained. But nothing has happened so far. I'm sure that new tax introduced on artists will not change during the coming 4 months.
Deputy Minister Lasanta Alagiyawan had a meeting with the artists and producers after we raised the issue. He promised to reduce the 14% tax on artists to 5%. Producers praised him at the meeting. However, I am getting telephone calls from producers saying that the government has taken off 14%. What am I to say? The Government Medical Officers Association alleges that the influence of a certain cabinet minister of preventing the lobbying exercised over the recent incident at the Gala Hospital. Convening a media briefing, the association reiterated that its members will not report for work until legal measures are taken against those who attacked doctors during the incident.
There was an incident at Galaha within last few days because we have declared a strike action starting from 8 AM today, and yesterday GMO Executive Committee decided to postpone the strike action because as we demanded, the police have arrested 7 suspects. According to the DIG of the Central Province, they have identified 24 suspects and only 7 up to now has been taken into custody. We were reliably informed that a member from Kandy district, minister, who is famous for his voice in the Saitam issue also, has given instructions to the police not to take the others into custody. Therefore, the GMO is vigilant and we will take stern actions, and the strike action is possible within next few days if the others are not taken into custody, and the safety of the doctors and the situation at the Galaha hospital is not taken into control. And the other incident is in the Polonnaruwa district, where His Excellency the President is also represented. We were informed that through the branch union that the acting regional director of the health services, together with some provincial officials belonging to the Provincial Council of the North Central Province, has initiated action to disrupt the duties of the doctors working within the RDHS office or the regional director's office of Polonnaruwa. There is clear instructions and the clear mechanisms to monitor doctors, and these officials have clearly violated. Polonnaruwa district doctors, they have initiated trade union action, and the situation is not attended by the health officials. We will be compelled to extend the strike action to the entire Polonnaruwa district and the North Central Province.
Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation Nima Siripala de Silva has agreed to increase the salaries of all employees of the Sri Lanka Transport Board. Accordingly, he has instructed SLTB officials to implement the wage hike with effect from the 1st of next month. With that, let's take a look at other news making news across Sri Lanka. National Tsunami Rehearsal Program 2018 will take place tomorrow across 14 districts in the island with the assistance of the Indian Ocean Tsunami Warning System. Subject Minister Duminda Dissanayake, addressing a media briefing at the Disaster Management Centre in Colombo, said that the annual event takes place in 28 regional countries on the same day. The minister also added that there are currently 77 tsunami warning towers in the country. A fire erupted at a garbage dump at Blumendal in Colombo today. The fire brigade, Sri Lanka Army and the residents of the area were able to take immediate measures to douse the fire. Dairy farmers supplying fresh milk to the state-run Milko Private Limited engaged in a protest opposite the Milko regional office in Anuradhapura this morning. Farmers demanded that delayed payments be issued immediately. Thereafter, officials gave a written document stating that arrangements will be made to address the issue with immediate effect. Meanwhile, potato farmers in Valimada and Uvaparnagama engaged in a protest at Valimada town, demanding a certified price of 100 rupees per kilo for local tomatoes.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back to the news. With government's vision to encourage entrepreneurs and startups, global businesses have now joined hands in identifying local unicorn players who have the potential to grow their companies to a value of $1 billion or more. Speaking exclusively to First at 9 today, Managing Director of Microsoft for Startups, Latika Pai, called on both local and foreign investors to recognize the potential of the Sri Lankan grassroots players.
Sri Lanka is currently heading towards a knowledge-based economy. With the atmosphere changing in recent years, local business ecosystems have also changed, encouraging startups in the country to engage in cutting-edge ventures, attracting the attention of many globally recognized companies. The importance of Sri Lanka is further highlighted with the country now joining hands as one of the earliest players for the Microsoft Corporation's Global Scale-Up Program for Startups.
The Scale-Up program is working with B2B companies who are revenue generating and are looking to scale their businesses both in their own country and globally. What we do is we look at their technology platform, make sure that if they're market ready, we get them enterprise ready, put them onto Microsoft Marketplace. The second is, which is more powerful, is the co-sell motion. The co-sell is that once they have been identified as co-sell ready, they work with the sales teams in country and globally.
Microsoft's country manager for Sri Lanka and Maldives, Hasit Abewardena, meanwhile says that the government's current efforts to encourage startups and entrepreneurs are commendable.
Government has this program of making IT $5 billion export industry. They're doing their part of the duty by setting the agenda right and also having a support ecosystem. What we need to do is to take our startups beyond Sri Lanka. Our initiative will support that.
But are our startups really ready for the global challenges?
Sri Lanka is poised for tremendous growth in the startup ecosystem. Only challenge, frankly, is to get the mindset change from an island to a global mentality. We need more global investors to come and see that these startups are worth betting on.
Sri Lankan shares rose for a fifth straight session today and marked their highest close in more than 3 weeks, led by gains in banking and beverage stocks. However, trading volumes were low as investors stayed on the sidelines for want of fresh triggers. The day's turnover stood at 181.9 million rupees. With that, let's cross over to Amanda Lukugamage from First Capital Holdings with your market update.
Market continued to be in the positive territory for the fifth consecutive day, mainly supported by the price appreciations in AIA Insurance and Ceylon Tobacco. All-share price index witnessed a continuous upward trend during the day, reaching an intraday high of 6,128, closing at the same levels, gaining 37 points. However, turnover recorded the near one-month low amidst lower activity levels witnessed in the market. A net foreign outflow was witnessed for the sixth consecutive day with less foreign participation.
The Sri Lankan Rupee fell to an all-time low today, marking its 11th straight session of setting fresh record lows. The rupee, which hit a record of 161 rupees and 97 cents early in trade, closed at 161 rupees and 95 cents to 162 rupees and 5 cents per dollar, compared with yesterday's close of $161 and 70 cents. Let's now have a look at how the Sri Lankan Rupee traded against other major currencies around the world.
Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Russian warplanes have reportedly bombed the rebel-held Syrian province of Idlib, where troops have been preparing for a major offensive. If confirmed, it will mark the first such airstrikes there in 3 weeks, coming amidst a warning from US President Donald Trump to Syria's Bashar al-Assad against launching a reckless attack on Idlib. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov rejected the warning and said the Syrian army was getting ready to clear a nest of terrorists there. US President Donald Trump yesterday warned Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and his allies Iran and Russia not to recklessly attack Syria's rebel-held Idlib province, saying hundreds of thousands of people could be killed. The UN has warned that an attack on Idlib, where 2.9 million people live, will overwhelm capacities and has the potential to create a humanitarian emergency at a scale not yet seen through this crisis. But Russia said the al-Qaeda-linked jihadist fighters who dominate Idlib were threatening Russian military bases in Syria and blocking a political solution to the 7-year civil war. A Syrian rebel and a war monitor had told media that Russia resumed airstrikes against insurgents in Syria's northwestern Idlib province today after several weeks. Japan has been hit by its strongest typhoon in 25 years, with officials warning more than 1 million people to evacuate their homes. Typhoon JB made landfall in the west of the country, bringing heavy rains and winds of up to 216 kilometers per hour. Japan issued evacuation advisories for more than 1 million people and cancelled hundreds of flights in the face of extremely strong winds and heavy rain as Typhoon JB made landfall along its west-central coast today. Video shows strong winds and rainfalls as Typhoon JB made landfall. JB, whose name means swallow in Korean, was briefly a super typhoon and is the latest harsh weather to hit Japan this summer, following rains, landslides, floods and record-breaking heat that killed hundreds of people. There were scattered reports of mild injuries as the typhoon made landfall. NHK Public Television said that tides in some areas were the highest since the typhoon in 1961, with flooding covering the runways at Kansai International Airport in Osaka. Former Sri Lanka cricket captain Kumar Sangakkara is of the view that former cricketers should maintain silence and allow the management and the players to go for their targets. He made this remark while participating in a program with the BBC's Sinhala service.
දැන් ඔබ ශ්‍රී ලංකා කණ්ඩායමෙන් ඉවත් වෙලා හරියටම අවුරුදු 3ක් වෙනවා. ශ්‍රී ලංකා කණ්ඩායමෙන් පස්සේ ක්‍රීඩා කළ ආකාරය ගැන ඔබට සතුටු වෙන්න පුළුවන්ද?
කණ්ඩායමේ විපර්යාස ඇති වෙනවා.
Changes happen in the team. Some players, after leaving the team, worry over the victories or the successes of the present players. They think if they win the World Cup, what will happen to them? If any player thinks like that, that is wrong and unacceptable. If current players are paid than you, they are popular than you, then only you can understand that you played cricket well. Our team should not be pressurized. Best thing that former cricketers can do sometimes is to maintain silence and stay aside. They must give the coaches, the management, the players as well as the team the necessary freedom to go for their targets.
ඒ සැහැල්ලුව ඉඩ අපි ලබා දෙන එක සමහරලාට ඔක්කොටම වඩා හොඳයි.
Yesterday's action at Flushing Meadows manifested in a way deprived a showdown between former world number 1 Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer. The 2006 champion Maria Sharapova meanwhile also made her exit from the US Open.
Novak Djokovic sweated his way to a 6-3, 6-4, 6-3 fourth-round win over João Sousa as the Heat returned to the US Open yesterday. Djokovic did his part, improving his perfect record in US Open fourth-round contests to 11-0, leaving it to Roger Federer, who took on Australian John Millman in the late contest on Arthur Ashe Stadium court. A Federer versus Djokovic clash would have provided the perfect contest to propel the US Open into the second week, with the two champions having claimed 7 titles at Flushing Meadows between them. But that wasn't to be, as the Aussies stunned Federer and the crowd by defeating the second seed 3-6, 7-5, 7-6, 7-6. Millman, ranked 55th in the world, was dominated by Federer in the first set, but turned the tables on the Swiss to take the second, then held his nerve through 2 tiebreaks to secure the win in 3 hours and 34 minutes. Meanwhile, in the women's draw, Spain's Carla Suarez Navarro celebrated her 30th birthday in style by beating Russian Maria Sharapova 6-4, 6-3 to book her place in the quarterfinals. 5 times Grand Slam champion Sharapova paid the price for 38 unforced errors and won less than half of her first serve points while committing 8 double faults.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Derana 24/7.
Looking at your weather forecast for the next 24 hours now, mainly fair weather will prevail for most parts of the island, but strong winds of up to 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected in the northern province as well as in Matale and Hambantota districts, while the area of Potuvil may also experience some winds. With that, let's take a look at your city-by-city forecast. And that is it for Mother Derana First at Night tonight. But before we go, we'd like to take you to the historic city of Anuradhapura, one of the ancient capitals of Sri Lanka, famous for its well-preserved ruins of an ancient Sri Lankan civilization. This city is now a World Heritage Site and it is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world and one of the 8 World Heritage Sites in Sri Lanka. We hope you enjoy these visuals and have a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Mother Derana 24/7.